So, this is something I've been putting off writing for a long time. And I put some thoughts down this morning. What a wonderful collection of Stephen's friends assembled here. I see so many familiar faces. Stephen's friends throughout all the years. My connection with Stephen began when I was 14. I met Mr. Perry back in Concord. Concord, as I started to say, was a great place to grow up. Not only the history from the Revolutionary War, but also the Transcendental Movement with Emerson, Thoreau, Hawthorne. And in the early 70s, we started our own little transcendental moment as well. So we kind of grew out of that little block of time in the early 70s when our teachers were the folks who had attended college in the late 60s, and now they were coming out to try their new ideas on us in our educational process. What fun it was in Concord. It really was a lot of fun. So there's Stephen. Stephen rocked on from an early age. He came right out ready to rock. He didn't waste any time. He hit the ground running. Concord Carlisle High School, he had a band called Wilderness. Our school dances were the best. Local battle of the bands, no contest. So we all watched Stephen, 14, the guy's a monster, he's playing, he's singing, he's doing everything you've seen. There's a few pictures of him around when he was young. And what I wanted to say about Stephen, he was brave. He was brave then because he came out at a time when coming out wasn't very easy for a lot of guys. So he came out, and that was just Stephen. It's part of the makeup. So guess what he did? He goes to Berkeley School of Music. I'm away at school, I come back. He holds up this album. He says, listen to this. He said, I'm going to try out for this band, Orchestra Luna 1. So he said, I've got to learn this song. Let me show you what I did. So he played this thing note for note, Randy Roos's solo. And he just nailed it. And then he goes, but I think I'm going to do it like this. And he played it his way. So it was stunning. So what does he do? He meets Rick. Rick is here. Rick was his friend. Rick was his bandmate. What a team. How many here remember the Orchestra Luna 2 days? Yeah, some very special moments there. So that band rocked on for a number of years, and then the unthinkable happened. Meatloaf. So for those who don't know the story, Jim Steinberg, he wanted Carla DeVito, who was in the band, and he also wanted Stephen. So Stephen had a choice, go big time or stay in Boston. Kind of coming back to Concord, this is where his roots were. So he stayed in Concord, and he stayed with Rick. And then they had, and that was a brave move, a real brave move, because people were going, are you nuts? Go big time. I mean, you obviously got the talent for it, why not? But he chose to stay with Rick, and he chose to stay in Boston, and he chose to stay with the people he loved. Very brave. So it was counterintuitive, but he and I often remarked in the later years, if you'd taken that gig, you probably would have been dead like after, a year, 2 years? And he knew that. There was no question, it was just, So he stayed on. Okay, so Luna. Joe Peck's in the house. So we have Berlin Airlift. Is Jane in the house? I haven't seen her. Couldn't make it, okay. And then Rick Berlin, the movie. And Julie's in the house. Amazing music. We heard some of it tonight. We also heard a lot of Stephen's new music, and I'll get to that in a moment. So after Rick Berlin, the movie, Stephen heard about a gig with John Hyatt. I was living in California. We were very close. So he called and he said, I really want this gig. So he rehearsed for it. And then he goes to Nashville and he goes to the rehearsal. And then he told a funny story about what happened there. So this is a tryout, right? An audition. So he's not sure what to expect. He's in the studio and the other musicians, the drummer, the bass player, the other slide guitar player, were there, no Hyatt. So Stephen lit into this song called Paper Thin, and he sang really well with any of John Hyatt's material. So he nailed the tune, and the story he told is that Hyatt comes into the room, looks through the window, stunned, like, what is this? Because he's nailing the tune, and that was the start of the band. So Stephen was in, he got the gig, he started touring. Great band, I saw him in California, outstanding band. Then 2 years of a tour, Australia as well. And then that band disbanded because the other slide guitar player had to do something. Stephen, he said, no, you know what, I'll play slide. He wasn't a slide player before this, by the way. Well, he learned slide. For anyone who ever heard any of his material with John Hyatt, he sang harmony and played slide and carried that band for another year plus. Outstanding. This was all done in the midst of HIV. So the backdrop to this was Stephen, HIV positive, people were dying badly all around him. How long is he going to last? He wasn't sure, but he lived with that and he dealt with it. So Stephen came back to Boston, and then there were a series of Boston bands. Tommy Hambridge. And Jimmy Scope is in the house. Where are you, Jimmy? There he is, right out the back. Stephen had a great time with that band. He loved that band. Then there was Big Six, an R&B project, Dreamscape, and then Johnny Ray. And Johnny Ray's in the house. And they wrote some beautiful music together. And then he gets cancer. Cancer number 1. So that took the stuffing out of him for a while. So what we did, we said, hey, let's play some music for the fun of it. So Lefty DeVito's in the house. Hey, Lefty. Some other players. We started a band called Vinyl Saviors. And that's where I met my wife. Well, actually, our first date. So the deal was, I just met her, she's a singer, I said, come on by and meet some friends, we'll make some music, see how it goes. So she did. She found the place too, which was amazing. We're over in Edwards, some rehearsal studio. She sang high harmony with Stephen, and it was like just magic in the air. And it was one of those moments we looked at each other and, yeah, we got a band. So we played together for 15 years. We did AIDS Walk. And then Cancer 2. All the while Stephen's playing music. This is not playing. Cancer 2 took the stuffing out of him. Okay? So we're still playing music, and the thing is, he's still writing music. He's still creating music. All these originals. He's doing it in his home studio. He's having a great time playing and recovering from cancer. So we're doing all these shows. I remember AIDS Walk number 3 was pretty bad because he had just come out of surgery. So in between sets, playing in front of all these people coming by, Stephen's changing bandages because he ripped all the stitches out from singing. He was a bloody mess out of that show. But he kept playing. Cancer 3 wasn't easy, he kept playing music. It wasn't easy for Stephen. It's not like he complained a lot, but when he did, it was quality complaining. All through this, he's creating music. And then comes last year, cancer number 4. How many cancer survivors do we have in the room? Okay, you guys know what it's like. 4 times, and he kept creating music. Last fall, he lost his voice. Cancer at the jaw. So he couldn't sing. So he created these instrumentals. And we've got a CD in back. My daughter Lena's doing merch in back. This is all new material, all instrumental. You've been hearing some of it overhead. It's wonderful music. It's Stephen, but not with the voice. And he plays all the tracks, instrumentals, just beautiful stuff. He kept playing music. Very brave man. So, into our lives, we meet people, and some people are very gifted. And we all knew Stephen was gifted right out of the chutes in Concord. We had him young. It was great. Obviously he was gifted in so many ways, but to me, he was a gift to have him in my life. Just as he was with everyone in this room in some way or shape or form. So, Stephen never achieved the kind of acclaim and success he thought he should have or was warranted or deserved, and who understands how these things happen. And a good friend of his, a successful musician, was saying to me, maybe he'll turn out like Nick Drake. After he's gone, his music becomes huge. So we produced that CD, we just final mastered it, and it's available now, public domain. The rest of his music, the body of music, will be available on the web. So I'd say that it's up to us to keep his memory alive, and we do that by keeping his music alive. Yeah. Yes. And that's what we're here to do. At the channel last week, there was the reunion. Stephen would have been right there. That was his crowd, his scene. Stephen was in no shape to make that, but he would have liked to have been there to see his people. Robin Moran, who's in the house. Where are you, Robin? There she is, over at the bar. She arranged and got us 15 minutes where we were able to show a video retrospective. And John Cassidy here, Stephen's friend. Sancho Lubin. They put together this really nice montage that was focused around, well, the channel. And for this event tonight, we also did a montage. They did a montage that was more personal, more family, more friends, like that. And so we're going to show you both. And after the end of the second one, we're going to have a minute of silence to think our thoughts about Stephen. And then after that, we'll have some musicians come up, some people he collaborated with and wrote some beautiful music with over the time. So that's what I came here to say. I was not really looking forward to this day at all, but here we are. So thank you, everybody.